Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We have all our team assembled, so we're ready to get started just a few seconds early. But thank you for being here. Today is a day that we're gathered together to release some information to you that we think is very significant in one of our cases. We want to share this significant information with our media and our community. It's a development in a case that has weighed heavily on not only this agency but the entire community since March of 2020. I want to thank those tireless efforts of the Stark County Sheriff's Office team, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, our Stark County Coroner, and the DNA Doe Project. We have finally been able to give a name to the unknown man whose remains were discovered in Canton Township in 2020. The individual has been identified as Michael Allen Leach, born on October 21st, 1957. His last known address was in Dover in Tuscarawas County. This identification marks a crucial step in our ongoing investigation to the details of his death. Michael Leach is believed to have been approximately 61 years old at the time of his death. The cause of death is undetermined at this time. The discovery of Mr. Leach's remains by a Canton oil well worker in a rural area off Sandy Avenue in Canton Township in 2020 was the beginning of a complex investigation. Initial assessment estimated that he had been deceased since approximately 2018. Forensic analysis indicated he suffered a skull and shoulder fracture at the time of his death. In cooperation with our Attorney General's office, Attorney General David Yost, in August of 2021, we unveiled a forensic reconstruction of Leach. Then in September of 2023, we released additional digitally created images of then the unknown man. We then turned to advanced DNA testing techniques facilitated by our partners of the DNA Doe Project, the expertise of volunteer investigative genetic genealogist was instrumental in constructing a comprehensive family tree for Mr. Leach, leading us to a direct DNA match with a close family member, which confirmed his identity. A representative with the DNA Doe Project will be available to answer your questions in more detail regarding this process. This case underscores the critical importance of collaboration across multiple agencies. The partnership between the Stark County Sheriff's Office, the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the Stark County Coroner's Office, and the DNA Doe Project has been remarkable. As we close the first chapter of this identification of Mr. Leach, our investigation continues into the circumstances of his death and continues to unfold those details that we do not know at this time. We are committed to bringing closure to his family and certainly to our community. We continue to urge anyone with information that could assist us in this case to reach out to our detectives and to the Sheriff's Office with that information. I'm very honored to introduce a man that I think I can call my friend. We've worked on a number of things together, and this is just another success story on our collaboration, our partnership, and that's Attorney General David Yost.
Thank you, Sheriff. I want to thank Sheriff Maier for his leadership, the Coroner's Office, for our private sector friends at the DNA Doe Project for this breakthrough in this case. This is attributable to what I call the 3 T's: technology, teamwork, and tenacity. I don't think that if you haven't done an investigation, it's really quite obvious why this is such a big deal. The first thing that happens when we have a dead body on the ground, usually we get an ID. The first thing you do after you've done the initial canvass and secured the scene is you start hitting the streets to look to talk to family members, to talk to friends. You try to trace the last 24 hours before the crime occurred, and you try to put all these pieces together to look for leads. What was going on, and that can lead you sometimes to other issues, other evidence of motive or identity. And when we have a case like this, none of that's available, so you actually have to start by working backwards on the case. Finding the name and the last known address of this John Doe is a huge breakthrough in the case, and I'm super excited about it. Here to talk a little bit about the technology involved is one of our scientists from BCI, Sam Molnar. And I want to admit right up front that it wasn't the reconstruction that we did that led to the identification. It was the DNA, and you'll hear about that as well today too. But I think it's important to recognize that each step keeps the case alive. Each case warms that cold case back up a little bit. Each step raises the public awareness, and it's that progress that allows us to continue to develop the case. And I'm confident that, George, one of these days, you're going to have me back up here because you're going to figure out exactly what went on here and answer the questions that we still have. So, Sam Molnar, if you'd like to come up for a moment and explain what you did.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming today. This is super exciting to be able to name another John Doe. Just as Attorney General Yost had stated, though it was not my work that helped solve this case, ultimately I'm super grateful to have been part of the team to work together to apply every resource that we have available to these cases. There's so many people at the Stark County Coroner's Office, the Sheriff's Office, BCI, the DNA Doe Project, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people that have poured their heart and soul into this case. So to his family, I'm glad that at least you have some answers, and hopefully more answers will come. We're so sorry for your loss. And then just in general, with other people that are missing or other family members that haven't heard from somebody, always want to just encourage people to call your local law enforcement agency. There's over 100 people that are still looking for their names here in Ohio. So please, if you haven't talked to somebody in a while, or maybe your neighbor you haven't seen in a long time, I just encourage you to please contact your local law enforcement so that way we can try to identify more people and give more people answers to their missing loved ones. But I think I'm passing it on to Mr. Resta.
Yep. Good morning. Good morning, and thank you. So, it's really great to see the end result that we're at today. This is one of those things, Sheriff and Attorney General basically said, collaboration, working across the lines to get the right answer, to try to get the truth. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? And to solve these problems. And it's really connecting the dots. And Attorney General also mentioned about persistence and tenacity. I love that word tenacity, by the way. It's one of those where we can't stop. We just can't say, oh, we're done. We don't have any more answers, because we still continue to question, still continue to pressure and find answers for these cases, because, as Sam had mentioned, there's dots out there. There's deceased that we have that don't have names, and there's stories behind them. We still don't have all of the story of Mr. Leach, but, we really hope that all those friends and family, again, we express our condolences to you, but also hope you come forward with other facts that can help us piece together his final parts of his life. He appeared to live a rough life, and his life did not end as we would hope our lives do. So please come forward with that. But otherwise, thank you very much for all your hard work up to this point.
Hello, I'm Tracy Anders from the DNA Doe Project. I'm a volunteer investigative genetic genealogist and one of the co-team leads for this case. We are honored to be here today to help to announce the identification of Michael Allen Leach. and our hearts go out to his family and friends at this time. May his memory be a blessing to all who knew him. The DNA Doe Project provides, as a nonprofit, investigative genetic genealogy research to law enforcement, medical examiners, and coroners across the U.S. and Canada. Powered by more than 100 expert volunteers, we have provided leads for over 120 cases of unidentified remains since 2017. For this case, our team utilized GEDmatch, a website where folks voluntarily upload their DNA to help solve genealogical mysteries of their own, utilizing the powerful tools available there. These results may then be compared to Jane and John Doe cases like this one. Then our team was able to build genealogical family profiles for each of the people that shared DNA with Canton Oil Well John Doe, in an effort to try to determine how these DNA relative matches were related to each other and where our John Doe fit in. Now, one parent side of this family was well represented and came together pretty easily. However, the other parent side did not have good representation in the database, due in part to recent immigration. We were eventually able to combine both parent sides into one unique individual with the help of a distant family relative on the side with fewer matches, who was actually working on her own genealogical puzzle. By helping her solve her puzzle, we were able to find the key that put our family sides together in one unique individual, Michael Allen Leach. Our research was then presented as a lead and confirmed by the sheriff's team. Recognizing the dignity and personhood of unidentified remains restores respect for those left behind, rectifies injustices, and acknowledges the loss to our community and to our society. We are honored to work with this incredible team, and we thank them for their trust in us. In fact, everyone you see here today had a part in resolving this case. We would also like to thank Daisel Arbor for their lab work to extract DNA and perform whole genome sequencing, and Kevin Lord for the bioinformatics, which helped create a workable genetic profile. Finally, I want to thank our donors and sponsors who funded this case, especially AudioCheck, the parent company of the Crime Junkie podcast, whose fund for the unidentified was utilized in this identification. If you'd like to learn more about the DNA Doe Project, our website is dnadoeproject.org, and you can learn more about our work and how you can participate by uploading your DNA as well. Thank you.
Well, as we come to a conclusion on this press conference, we will take a few questions, but before we do, just a quick message for the family of Michael Allen Leach. A lot of work has been done to get us to where we are today. And we, from the Stark, on behalf of myself and the men and women of the Stark County Sheriff's Office, we offer our condolences for your loss. We also offer our commitment to continuously, relentlessly pursue those who may be responsible for his death. And so you have our commitment for that today and continued until we can resolve this case. At this time, I'd ask any reporters if you have any questions. We would take a few questions. We have a little bit of time to entertain some questions. Nancy.
Are you using this method to identify other unknown persons whose remains have been found?
I'll ask our lead investigator, Inspector Jones, to answer that question.
Yeah, this process is something kind of new. This technology is kind of new, so we are looking at other cases where this could become important. This is the first case that we've actually been involved with where a genetic match has been located. So it's definitely something that we'll entertain in other cases, but it is our first successful case here in Stark County.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Michael's life circumstances and if you believe foul play was involved in his death?
Yeah, Michael, like the doc had indicated, kind of lived a rough life. He was originally from Tuscarawas County, moved several times, worked in Tuscarawas County. His family was a split family. There wasn't a lot of contact with his family. His half sisters, which he has two, and he has one full sister as well. We have spoken with all of them. They spoke to Michael every few years, so it wasn't a relationship that they had on a daily, weekly basis. They would go several years and not have any contact. But he spent most of his working days and days in Tuscarawas County throughout the whole entire life.
Was a missing persons report ever filed?
No, a missing persons report was not filed. There was some request that welfare checks be done on him at a certain time, but as far as a missing persons report, no, there was no missing persons report ever filed.
And Dr. Rosnack, can you speak to the manner of death still believed to be undetermined at this point, but do you believe foul play could be involved?
Correct, yeah, so I will rule this as an undetermined. He either was in some severe accident that then, we've seen it where people get nervous and it's like, oh my gosh, we gotta kind of clean up the scene, so to speak, and whether it was that or truly a homicide, I am unable to determine at this point in time, but yeah, due to the injuries, he's undetermined.
Have the contacts you made with the sister and the half-sister given you any clues as to what might have happened to him immediately before his death?
Since like the Attorney General said, the identification in this case has been huge for the detectives working it. When we had this case initially, we knew nothing. We didn't know where he was from, we didn't know his family, we didn't know his friends, we didn't know his routine. So learning the identity has provided several leads, one being just that, the family. So yeah, them are things that we're working on, them are things we're still investigating. And those are the things that we're kind of looking for the public now to see if anyone knew him well enough that could provide information to us. We have conducted several interviews in this case. My detectives and I are working this as a homicide case, although it has been ruled undetermined based on the injuries that we have. That's how we are investigating the case. So yeah, the sisters, the friends that we've spoken to, they have provided a great deal of information to help us learn kind of the routine that Mr. Leach had. We've spoken to employers that employed him. So it's something that's going to continue for our detectives, and we're looking to the public for any further information that they may have.
Can you talk about the area where he was found? It doesn't seem like the type of area where someone would maybe just wander.
Rural, secluded, county road, oil well, 60, 70 feet off the road. Not a location that's highly populated. It's a rural area, wooded and secluded.
Are you able to review the?
Correct. And for detectives, that's definitely something that we're looking at. That you would think that you wouldn't accidentally wander to this location.
Yeah, are you able to review the injuries that were found on him at the time?
Yeah, so Michael was found to have a significant skull fracture that came over his cheek on the left-hand side. He had bilateral shoulder fractures, we'll call them scapula fractures, and he had multiple rib fractures on both chest cavities. So those were what we were able to determine by the remains that we were able to find.
Nancy?
Just a question about the exact township it was in. When I looked up that address where he was found, it's coming through on the auditor's website as a Pike Township address.
That's correct. It is Pike Township.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Did Mr. Leach have any known criminal associations, either through his own crimes or to be associated with people who had committed crimes?
Yes, he did have a criminal history in Tuscarawas County, and as far as his associates and their criminal histories, I'm not going to comment on that. He did have some criminal history, misdemeanor criminal history.
Has his family taken possession of the remains at this point? What happens from here?
Yeah, they're currently at the coroner's office, and then we'll reach out to them in order to look for a burial.
Nancy, we'll take you as the last question.
Your representative from the DNA Doe Project.
Yes.
Could she spell her first and last names?
Sure.
TRACI, Tracy Onders, ONDERS. Thank you.
Well, thank you again on behalf of myself, the Stark County Sheriff's Office, Attorney General Dave Yost and his entire staff. Thank you for your willingness to report this out to our community, because we do believe this is a significant milestone in this investigation. And while the work continues, we appreciate you getting this out to our community. Thank you.